My name is Darryl Carr. Thanks for making a date. In our first story, renowned economist and former board chairman of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Ishmael Yamson, is proposing a deliberate policy by government to move Ghana beyond aid. He says the culture of debt payments by every government is dragging the country's development. Now, according to the industrialists, no nation will develop better with huge debts laden with exorbitant interest. Ishmael Yamson made the call after addressing members of the American Chamber of Business on the theme, Ghana's economy moving from stabilization to growth.
Governments over governments over governments have borrowed and overborrowed, and the governments have been have come under very severe fiscal stress because they then have to find the money to not only service the debt but also pay the interest. I want to see a situation where we can build the kind of economy which is robust enough, which is driven by manufacturing and agriculture and services, which generates enough money so that government can save and invest. And for private sector operators also to be able to save and invest. Because without savings, you cannot have investment. And if you are always borrowing and paying interest and are in debt, how do you save and how do you invest money? So it is good to go beyond aid. But I think we should also focus in building a much more robust, resilient economy that delivers robust revenue, which makes it impossible for us.
An advisor to President Akufo-Addo on the Sustainable Development Goals, Eugene Owusu, has called on businesses to align their corporate goals with the SDGs to maximize coherence and common platforms with government efforts aimed at attaining those goals. Now, this, according to him, will open up new business opportunities and spur innovation at their workplaces. He made the call at the Canadian Chamber CSR event on SDGs under the themes Why SDGs Matter for Your Business.
According to 2017 Business and Sustainability Development Commission report, achieving the global goals will open up $12 trillion of market opportunities in 4 economic systems. These are the areas of food and agriculture, cities, energy and materials, and health and well-being. They represent around 60% of real economy and are critical to delivering the global goals. Presidential advisor on the SDGs, Eugene Owusu, urged businesses to align their corporate goals with global goals to conform with government's development agenda. This was at the Canada Chamber of CSR event on Sustainable Development Goals themed Why SDGs Matter for Your Business.
There are lots of best practices, that sit within the private sector, which could be beneficial for government as government and society more broadly endeavor to achieve the goals. It's really about leveraging those knowledge and best practices that sit certainly within the private sector. The second is innovation. The private sector is a major custodian when it comes to innovation. Much of the innovation in this world today originate from the private sector. And we do know that innovation has become the new currency for development. So it's important that we tap into this outstanding innovation within the private sector to support achievement of the goal.
Canadian High Commissioner to Ghana, Heather Cameron, also advocated the need for businesses to include their corporate agenda into government interventions to help achieve the global goals.
Since companies have a role to play in creating jobs and creating value for the communities and where they work, paying taxes, protecting the environment. And what we've heard today is the conversations are already underway, and in fact that the global business community also had a role to play in defining the SDGs. And it's very encouraging to hear from the Office of the Presidency this morning that there will continue to be conversations about how government and the private sector here in Ghana can work together.
Fawzia to Adam for Joy Business.
Also tonight, the Ghana Automobile Distributors Association is calling on the Bank of Ghana to reduce interest rates further to enhance affordability of their products. Chief Operations Officer at Rana Motors, Kasim Odamat, raised this concern on the sidelines of the launch of the company's latest 4 trucks.
Well, actually, we always try to be as much as competitive. Of course, we being members of the Ghana Automobile Distributors Association, we're always in talks with the government and with the different associations to ensure to create a more more good conditions and especially talking with the banks and even talking with Bank of Ghana to if we can take the rates and the interest rates down so we can make it more affordable for each and every Ghanaian to be able to buy a car. Because today, honestly speaking, a lot of second-hand cars are coming to the country. It is causing more pollution, and at the same time, they're not safe and they're not made for our country in terms of even equipment and even options. There's a lot of things that doesn't fit our country. So even from a safety point of view, we always discuss with the government and the banks so they can make it more and more affordable for the companies to be able to afford a new vehicle and for the individuals, because that's the best way to keep our roads clean, to keep our country clean, and to keep our customers and the people of Ghana safe.
Some drivers have expressed diverse opinions on the recent reduction in petroleum prices after President Akufo-Addo assented to the new special petroleum tax amended last night by Parliament. Now, the change, according to JoyNews' Ifwa Evans Chinri, is indeed reflecting at some fuel stations in Accra. She has been speaking with some drivers on the development.
No, there's no change. It's still the same. It's still the same, right?
Okay. So what you're saying is there's no change?
I haven't seen anything. Look at it. Have you seen anything? Anytime I buy it, I got this thing. It's still the same. I haven't seen any change.
Okay. So when you heard the news about the reduction in petroleum prices, how did you feel?
So I didn't feel anything. It's still the same.
Normally, if I intend to fill my tank, it will cost me about 3 million plus. I don't know of now. So I'm also failing, and I also want to know.
How much are you buying this morning?
I normally fill my tank. It takes me about 3 or 4 days, and so today the tank is empty and I want to fill it.
Okay. And how much are you?
I anticipate that it shouldn't be anything more than 3 million.
Okay. So it means that there's a slight change.
That is because I have heard
not much change.
There should be some. That change must be seen.
You're yet to see that change.
Normally buy 320. Today I'm anticipating that I'll buy about 300 or maybe 305. That's what I'm anticipating now, but I'm yet to see.
But how did you feel when you heard that there's a reduction in petroleum prices?
I'm so much happy because I normally use car, and if you ever hear that the fuel price had gone down, then it means it is a relief for people who use cars. So I'm happy.
Even if it's 1 peso, it's a reduction. But what will its impact be to the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian? Yes, today you're talking about this percentage. Is it going to reflect in price reduction? That is a first. If not, then to the ordinary Ghanaian it's irrelevant.
When you first heard the news?
I was very happy. I was very, very happy because...
How much were you buying before?
Every day I used to buy about 100 Ghana cedis for a day. And now maybe with this reduction, I think at least 80 Ghana.
You're hoping to pay less?
Yeah, so 60 Ghana or 80 Ghana will be fine for me.
Reduct the petrol, I think, is good for us because this is what we have been crying for. Not me. Some can afford, some cannot afford. So if it equals to what we will benefit, I think we thank God. It's good because let me take this morning, this is what people were saying, so they are happy. So we are all happy.
There has indeed been a reduction in petroleum prices, and most drivers are excited because they get to pay less when they visit their favorite gas stations to buy either petrol or diesel. But most drivers, I noticed are a little skeptical because they think it's going to be a one-off payment and they will soon go back to paying the same amount of money they were paying before. Some also think the news is ridiculous because they have not really seen any change. For Joy News, my name is Ifwa Evans-Chineri.
Well, government has justified the marginal reduction of the special petroleum tax despite calls to scrap the entire levy. Sources close to government have indicated the review was carried out to ensure that revenue is not impacted badly. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Finance, Kweku Kwarteng, tells Joy Business they were also concerned about lessening the impact on consumers anytime prices go up on the world market.
Of this relief is not so much in savings. It is to correct a situation where anytime crude oil prices go up, and because we are practicing a partial deregulatory petroleum pricing regime, it is passed on to consumers. Then the tax on it also has to go up. So if crude oil prices go up, fuel prices go up, and then the taxes on fuel, because it is a percentage of the face value of the fuel. That is to say, if fuel prices go up, then the taxes on it too will be going up. So it was double hit for consumers because they'll be paying for the increased price of fuel, they'll be paying for the increased tax, which has been made a percentage of the fuel price. So what we have done today is to make that tax to make a tax which was ad valorem, that is to say, which was a percentage of the fuel price, to make it now a fixed tax. We call it specific. It's a specific tax. So even if crude oil prices were to go up, those taxes would remain the same. Hopefully, that will bring some long-term relief to consumers and to businesses as fuel prices change upwards.
Well, still on energy matters, the Tema Oil Refinery is expected to resume operations fully from April this year after temporary work on some components of the crude processing plant is completed. Speaking to Joy Business, Managing Director of the Tema Oil Refinery, Isaac Osei, disclosed that the company currently refines primary products for the market.
TOR is not back to full operations, but TOR is producing diesel and gasoline, which are required in the Ghana market. But we still have to do some work on the catalytic cracker, and I'm quite sure that next month we'll have the full complement of TOR's operation.
So you can assure us that by next month we'll have it in operation.
I can assure you that as we speak, TOR is working.
Yeah, but fully, as you said, the cracker.
Well, it's working fully if we are just talking about the stream from the crude distillation unit. But we need to add additional value, by cracking our atmospheric residue to ensure that we have high octane gasoline, which can be then blended with the light naphtha for around 91, which is required in Ghana. When we crack also, we are going to generate a lot of LPG gas.
So is it still receiving the fuel from 10, the crude from 10?
We do have crude from 10 in our tanks, and hopefully next week we'll have finished distilling the first 1 million barrels that we had in tank, and then we'll be starting with the 10 crude.
Now, growing Ghanaian taste for foreign food at the expense of local dishes has long-term implications on the country's cultural values and identity. Provost of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology College of Sciences, Professor Aibo Kodro, wants serious attention to help reverse the trend. At the Food Festival and Conference 2018, she blamed the situation, among others, on urbanization as well as the introduction of children to such foods at an early age.
Other things that makes the food very exciting, because when you combine sweet with pepper, it has a taste that you don't like.
At the Food Festival and Conference 2018, she blamed the situation, among others, to urbanization and early introduction of children to such food. Professor Odro believes with time this will lead to gradual loss of cultural identity.
So when a child is introduced to this type of food, Then when you are trying to bring to eat yam, in my house they don't like yam, they said chewing, they don't want to chew. Then I ask them, do you swallow rice? They don't want plantain, do you swallow rice still? But they don't want anything difficult. So the content of the new generation is something that is easy to flow in the mouth, not chewing. But they forget that it helps strengthen the what? The tooth or the teeth, yes.
Food Festival and Conference brought together stakeholders in the local food industry to discuss the subject. It's aimed at celebrating Ghana's diverse food heritage and reintegrate value back into food system and culture. It's under the theme Combating Food Fraud and Promoting Traditional Foods. KNUST Pro Vice Chancellor Reverend Professor Charles Anissa suggests greater partnership between the university and other stakeholders.
I would also want to use this platform to appeal to the Food and Drugs Board, Food and Drugs Authority, and all food industry to partner the Department of Science, Food Science and Technology to support the excellent research and education to the general public on the science and safety of our foods.
We should remember that every
Executive Director of National Commission on Culture, Edna Nyame, wants a globally competitive local food industry through technology.
That every society on earth is going through transition, and we cannot continue to use sometimes the rudimentary methods of preparing our yaka, our cheke, our fufu, the others, when we can improve the methods to give them cutting edge in the global market.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
The Queen of Belgium was in the country recently. Her mission was simple: to promote the Sustainable Development Goals here in Ghana, of course, across the world. She's one out of 17 ambassadors and an honorary chair of the United Nations Children Fund. She took the opportunity to visit Ghana's niche cocoa. Odilia Ntiamwa has been following developments in the sector and reports the company employs more than 10,500 people in the value chain.
Niche Cocoa, days before Queen Matilda de Cause's visit to Ghana, received communication to the effect that she will touch base with them. The reason? Sustainable Development Goals. The company initially received close to $5 million from the Belgium Development Fund for expansion in order to create sustainable jobs. Goal 8 of the SDGs. Key on the agenda for her visit is also to tell how gender equity is being championed.
There wasn't really any expertise as far as chocolate making was concerned and setting up. We already had expertise in cocoa processing and all that, but we didn't exactly have expertise in that. And so because I was the one working on product development, we figured that since we wanted a world-class product, I wanted a product that would be able to compete with the top-known brands. And so we needed to have the skill set to be able to do that. And because of that, I was... the company funded me traveling abroad and then spending some time with some chocolate companies who are well known. And then we had a couple of chocolate experts actually come here and work with me a little bit in the lab with the product development. So I was able to pick up a few things and then applied that to both the product design, packaging design, and then the setup of the entire place, of course, with the help of the entire team.
In the company, the Queen is treated to a 3-minute documentary on the activities of NISH in championing the Sustainable Development Goals. Slipping into an overall, Queen Matilda and her entourage were keen to know the activities of Niche Cocoa. Niche makes a yearly profit of $120 million and produces cocoa liquor and chocolate for exports. Operations Manager Lloyd, taking the Queen round, indicated the company has over 360 workers directly and over 10,000 farmers who supply the company with premium cocoa. Nesh exports over 50 20 to 40-footer containers of products every week. The tour ends where cocoa beans are brought in. Close by, chocolate produced by Nesh were ready to be served. Backtracking, I'm off to Suhum to meet cocoa farmers who make companies like Nesh Cocoa exist and the whole cocoa sector worth close to $200 billion. The issues farmers face are many. Cocoa pricing, late arrival of implements, which means their cocoa will not yield as much as they want, are the issues that Antia Kosua and Opari get busy talking to me about.
The organic spray for cocoa is not in the market, so Cocoa Board has to bring it on time. Otherwise, our cocoa trees will be diseased. We are pleading with them to bring the spray early enough.
Cocoa Board later tells me they will even stop supplying the implements since it's become burdensome.
What we are going to do is to move out, but we do not want to move out without giving the farmers a credible alternative where they can have access to all the services that are needed for to cultivate cocoa. So before we move out, we want to put the system in place. Then as we move out and we don't buy any inputs, we will allow the private sector, we will register them and all the registered inputs, and so now they can sell inputs directly to the farmers, and we will pay farmers subsidy to be able to access the inputs.
Farmers are being encouraged by Cocoa Board to produce more per acre so that the reduction in the world market could not affect them much.
Once we have the potential to increase productivity from the same 1 acre, the way forward to addressing this challenge of low world prices of cocoa is to get farmers to accept the challenge, to go with us, to come along and adopt the interventions and increase the farm productivity.
However, farmers here produce more than the agent who buys organic cocoa can take. While 500 tons are produced per season, only 1,000 can be bought by Yaira Glover. But all is not that gloomy. Nesh Cocoa buys 1,000 tons of premium cocoa from the farmers that earns them 40 cedis per bag more.
The technical support from the extension officers has been really helpful. I now get more than enough, and the bonus is also good. I get enough money to weed. I could have as much as 10 million cedis. My family is really benefiting.
They also receive constant extension services, which is paid by Nesh Cocoa. Nesh Cocoa's footprints affects 10,500 farmers in providing sustainable jobs and gender equity. No wonder Queen Matilde visited Odilientiamwa Joy Business.
And we are taking you straight to our interview of the day. The National Insurance Commission has commended the Ghana Bankers Association for its resolve to initiate bank deposit insurance scheme for its customers. According to the Insurance Commissioner, Justice Yaofori, this initiative could help reduce commercial banks' risks. He spoke to Joy Businesses Bismarck Awusa at the launch of Insurance Radio Sensitization Tour set to commence next Monday.
I think it's good for the public to know how much money insurance companies are paying in claims so that they know that insurance is something they can actually have confidence in.
So the Bankers Association have come up with this, what they call bank deposit insurance. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah, I think it's a good idea because the banks have seen a risk in their business and they think that insurance is a solution to it.
For our insurance, the insurance industry, for us, there's a product for everything. All we need is the customer to come up with their concerns or their risk concern, and we are risk takers. We design policies to actually give them the needed protection.
All right, and that's our program tonight. Enjoy the rest of the day. As we head into the weekend, you can also visit our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There you see the latest business news, fuel prices to drop further as government hints of bailout plan for BDCs. That certainly should be some good news. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching once again. We're back next week.